Good everyone, in this video today we have a updated premium review on the Havoc Mark I. This is a plane I've been very eagerly awaiting to re-review, as one of my more popular videos from back in the day was actually the Havoc Mark I review. So hopefully people are going to buy this thing more because I absolutely adore this thing. So what's changed with the Havoc? Not really much, to be honest. It's had engine fire suppression systems added to it. And it's also had a rank increase. It's another one of the premiums that have gone up in rank. Obviously, I'm working through re-reviews of them, and this is one of them. Obviously, I will be re-reviewing this aircraft's closely competitive cousin, the Hudson Mark V. That's going to be getting an updated review. Nothing's really changed about Hudson. It's just, I think I need to update that review. Without further ado, let's get in and let's take a look at the Havoc. If you want to skip ahead to the gameplay though, feel free to do so in the description below. So the Havoc Mark I is a Rank 2 battle rating 2 British bomber. Well, I say British, it's technically American, but, well, we made it better. That's all I'm going to say in that regard. And it's had a price increase. It was originally 400 Golden Eagles, and it was well worth that asking price. And now it's set at, obviously, 2.0 Rank 2, but it's 700 Golden Eagles. Now, in terms of the competition for the British premiums at rank 2, there isn't a huge amount, but there is one that is notable, which is, of course, the Hudson. There is also the Avenger Mark II, but I wouldn't really consider this, personally speaking. I love this thing because it's one of the few low-tier bombers that can actually handle itself, but that's besides the point. You then have the Spitfire, but you can get this in a starter pack, and it's a better deal if you do that, so that's why I'm not bringing this up. And of course, we have the Corsair F Mark II, which I wouldn't consider for a new player, personally speaking, but that's besides the point. And then finally, we have the Boomerang Mark I. There is also the Mark II, but this only rolls around once in a blue moon, so don't worry about that. And the Boomerang is good, but they have done some changes to it and made it quite, well, not as fun anymore, so that's quite unfortunate. But let's get into the Havoc. So going over the engines, these are Pratt & Whitney S3 CGs with 1200 horsepower. You don't get wep in this thing, but it's quick enough. It's not going to outrun everything, like obviously the HE100, because that thing should be 3.3, but that's besides the point. And this is still a relatively fast bomber. It can catch anything that it needs to. It can run away from anything it really needs to. It can take quite a bit of a beating, and even though it can lose an engine quite comfortably, if an engine happens to get set on fire, you do have the fire suppression system, as I've said, and that is very useful to have on a plane like this. In terms of its armour, would help if I click the right thing, the armour is actually pretty good for a low-tier bomber. You can see there's a lot of steel protecting the nose area, half an inch thick, and then of course you've got some 8 and 9.5. The gunners have some decent protection, but obviously they do have vulnerabilities from above, and of course focus fire on where the machine gun is will obviously take out the crew there. But for a rank 2 battle rating 2 bomber, this is not bad at all for protection. Like, it's not obviously going to keep the crew alive against 50 cal fire, which you can run into with this thing. And of course cannon fire will have a lot more effect on you, because obviously this is much tankier airframe in general. But the simple fact is, you have the toughness to really give this plane what it can do quite well. And as you'll see in this gameplay, not only is it an effective bomber hunter, it's also a great heavy fighter. Going over to the armament, we do have 4 7.7mm Browning machine guns. I love saying 7.7s because it annoys the British. Like, obviously I'm British myself, but it actually does annoy a lot of people if I say 7.7 instead of 303. So I've always said it, and, well, that's just why I've kind of done it. But obviously these are 500 rounds per gun, you get 2,000 rounds total, and as you'll see in the gameplay, it lasts a while, let's put it that way. In terms of the gunners, you do have 2 7.7 Vickers K machine guns, one on the top, one on the bottom. They do cover each other quite well, and they have quite good coverage in terms of the tail area. Obviously directly on the tail like this will obviously not have any impact, but you could potentially get this gun down here on it. And it's not bad at all. Like, it definitely does have decent coverage, but obviously the Hudson does have an advantage over this. So just bear that in mind if you want a bit more coverage in terms of the upper part of the plane. That is something that the Hudson can do, and the Hudson can also do drive-bys on bombers a lot more effectively. but obviously we'll get to that when we'll re-review the Hudson. In terms of bomb loads, however, this is where the Havoc is going to fall short of the Hudson. It only gets one bomb selection, and they are the British GP 500 pounders. These are very poor bombs, but realistically, you're not really going to be using the Havoc for its bombs. You're going to be using it for its agility, its toughness, and most importantly, its firepower. Whilst it does obviously not have the coverage that the Hudson has, the simple fact is that this plane can take more of a beating, in my experience, than the Hudson. And most importantly, the Hudson can't fly too well on one engine. It can get back to base on one, but the Havoc flies just fine on one engine. It's very new player friendly, and I would probably consider it to be the superior aircraft for a newer player. But for an experienced player, the Hudson will probably do you better. That's just my experience. In terms of belts, use the universal on both turrets. There is no ifs or buts. You can also use tracers if you want. This just has a bit more incendiary quantity. But realistically, you're not going to need this. And you'll see in the gameplay, this sets fires like nobody's business. Like, yeah, I'm shooting at condors, but that's besides the point. Overall, though, this is one of the best Rank 2 2.0 bombers that you can really ask for. And all I'll say is, if you've not got a Havoc in your collection, this may pop up in Warmonds now, because obviously it is Rank 2. But most importantly, this thing is only 350G on a sale. What more can you ask for? And, well, I know I've said it a bunch of times now, but as you'll see in the gameplay, this thing's a beast. Anyway, I'm going to hand you over to the gameplay now. I will leave you all to it for today, and I will see you all on the next one. Well, I've found ourselves some nice juicy bombers. Looks like we've got a couple of Condors and a Ju-88 escorting them. Well, I say escorting, it's underneath it, but I'm going to go for the Condor first because it's more vulnerable to fires. Even though it does have EFS now, but that's besides the point. Hello, Mr. Condor. Thank you. Nice and easy. Love a nice easy frag on a Condor. They're just flying tinderboxes. Next up, another Condor, and then we'll probably try and see if we can put some pressure on that RA-2000. Because the Ju-88 is just flying off into the distance, not giving a toss, so that's very helpful. Hello, Mr. Condor. How are we doing today? I mean, not going to do very well after I've finished with you, but that's besides the point. He's getting some hits on us, but that's completely fine, because this thing's very tanky. I could care less that he's putting some 792 in our airframe. He's wounded one of our gunners, but honestly, I don't mind. This thing is very tanky. It's tankier than the Hudson, and the Hudson's already pretty tough at times. Okay, so control stiffening can be a bit of a problem, but that's fine for this thing. 112 might take priority here. Although, I don't know, like, it depends. Let's see if we can get an angle on the 112. Nice. Boom and zoom in fighters and a bomber. Well, I say a bomber, this is more like a fighter, but, you know. Like, I'm sorry, with the handling that this thing gets, combined with the fact that it gets 4 7.7s in the nose, I mean, why the hell would you not play this thing as a fighter? The bombs are crap, which you're about to see, but, like, it's fun, it's tough. Yeah, it's not great as a bomber, but you don't need to use it as a bomber. 109's pitching up for us. We should have the energy to outlast him here. Let's see if we can kick the rudder over. I can see bullets flying up for us, but they don't seem to be too laser accurate. Thank you very much. That's kill number 3. Yeah, the 112 tried to stick up for us there, but it didn't work out in its favour. Let's see if we can dive on him. Like, yeah, we nearly killed that base, but it's not as good as the Hudson for base bombing. That's an ace. You don't need to use this thing as a bomber. It's great as a fighter. RE-2000 rips his wings off, and the last enemy player is the Ju-88 we ignored at the start of the match. Which means we can go down and kill some pillboxes. Like I said, with this thing's handling and tough airframe, like, yeah, we got a wounded gunner, but other than that, this thing just doesn't care about damage. So it's really nice to play this thing. Definitely one of the best purchases you can have, and to say this is price matched with the Hudson, it's really hard to pick a choice. Kill assist, thanks to the gunner having a bit of an argument with the BF-110 there. Thank you. Should be able to kill this pillbox. Yep, nice and easily. Power back on. Ju-88's been ignored, so that's good. There we go, that's another one. We don't have the ammo to take enough to win the game, but we don't need to.
Our victory is near.
See if the gunner can finish that one off. There we go. We might have enough for one, maybe two more pillboxes. And even then the gunners can help out. Teammates are farming the bots. Like, we have done very well. And we should get a decent payday. Say this thing's got a rank 2 now. I don't know how much of a better payday it's going to give, but we will soon find out. The decals on the side, by the way, are meant to be Berlin Express, because I felt like putting that on a few years ago. And special delivery for the bombs. Even though the bombs are crap, but like I said, the bombs are not why you fly this thing. Far from it. You fly this thing because you want to troll bombers and you just want to have fun, which is what this thing offers. And for the price it does, why would you not? Alright, let's use the gunners, soften up that for the ground forces. Never mind. Looks like the AI plane took care of that, so that's fine. So now, let's head back to base. I think we've earned it after that kind of a run. Now, for some reason, there's a bit of a bug with the Havoc DB7 and planes. You'll notice that the plane is listing slightly to the right. For some reason, even minor wing damage seems to do that. So you'll notice on the dive when I was coming down from altitude, I had to be pretty careful. That is something you'll have to consider. Just make sure to be aware of that. It is not fatal to the aircraft as long as you don't damage it too badly. Like if you don't get damaged too badly, but just be warned of that. There is a bug with this plane. It also affects the DB7 and the Boston. But as you can see, much better payday than when it was rank 1. Like you'd have gotten like 14,000 for that back in rank 1, but all I'll say is, do not really play this thing as a bomber. It's not really built for that. I mean, it technically is, but with the guns it's got, and the performance it's got, and the tankiness it's got, why would you not play this thing as a heavy fighter?